Reddit story 3p1. You know when a family gathering should feel warm and fuzzy? When people are wearing cozy clothes, sipping wine, laughing, catching up, sharing accomplishments? Yeah. This was not that night. My mom had spent the whole day cooking, the table was set like we were hosting royalty, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, and my aunts and uncles were already buzzing from cheap champagne. The cousins were arguing about football, and the significant others' table was awkwardly introducing themselves for the 10th time. And in this chaos, our four-sibling squad was trying really hard to keep the peace. But then, my older sister started drinking. Which is never a good sign. She had that look, the glazed eyes, the slightly too loud laugh, the way she kept topping off her glass even though no one else was touching theirs. My younger brother, 22M, the sweetest, quietest, most anxious guy ever, made some small comment during a casual debate. Something like, "Well, statistically that's not really true." And my older sister snapped her head toward him like a wolf that smelled blood. At first, it was just bickering. But then it started escalating. My older sister, 29F, hates losing arguments, especially not to the baby brother. And you could see her frustration building, the tight jaw, the clenched hands, the deep annoyed sighs. Everyone at the table was visibly uncomfortable. People exchanged looks. My aunt whispered to her husband. My cousin mouthed, "She's drunk." My younger sister just stared at her plate. But then she said it. Loud. Clear. Sharp as a knife. "Shut up, I'm not going to argue with a 22-year-old virgin." The entire table froze. Not one fork moved. The air went heavy. Someone's child gasped. Even the candles seemed offended. My brother's face turned the color of a shut-down window screen, blank, humiliated, stunned. This boy already struggles with confidence. He's shy. Introverted. Sensitive. My brother's face turned the color of a shut-down window screen, blank, humiliated, stunned. This boy already struggles with confidence. He's shy. Introverted. Sensitive. And she just detonated him in front of the entire extended family. I snapped. I didn't plan it. I didn't think. I just reacted. Grow up. You sound pathetic right now. She turned to me, eyes wild. I didn't say anything wrong. Everyone knows he's a virgin. It's not a big deal. And that was the moment something in me broke. Not because she said it. But because she felt entitled to say it. I could feel every cousin, every aunt, every uncle watching, waiting for someone to defend my brother. But no one spoke. So I did. With a calmness that was absolutely fake and fueled by pure rage, I looked her in the eyes and said, "Okay. If we're sharing sexual histories that everyone knows, then we should mention you slept with well over 100 guys in college. Since it's not a big deal, right? You could have heard a snowflake fall." Her wine glass almost slipped out of her hand. My aunt sucked in a breath like she'd been punched. My grandmother crossed herself like a demon had entered the room. My cousin nearly choked on mashed potatoes. And then, her husband slowly turned toward her. Confused. Eyes wide. Face draining of color. "Is that true?" he whispered. She stuttered. She froze. She tried to laugh it off. "It wasn't, that's not like that." But her husband suddenly shoved his chair back so hard it screeched across the floor. "I asked you about your past. I asked you directly and you lied to me?" He didn't even wait for the full story. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He just stood up with a shaking voice and said, "I need to leave." And he walked out. The whole family heard the front door slam. My sister started crying, messy, angry, panicked crying, yelling at me. "You ruined my marriage. You're a horrible person." My aunt started comforting her, glaring at me like I had slapped Jesus himself. My uncle muttered something like, unnecessary, disrespectful. My mom looked horrified. My cousins were whispering like they were watching a Netflix drama live. My brother, the actual victim, sat silently staring at his plate, probably wishing the earth would swallow him whole. And then the blame game started. Everyone turned on me. How could you say that? That was private. You went too far. You should have stayed quiet. No one blamed her for humiliating our brother. No one blamed her for being drunk and cruel. No one blamed her for outing his virginity. But me? Apparently, I'd destroyed her marriage. Here's the thing. I didn't reveal some deep, guarded secret. I didn't expose something no one knew. Everyone in our family knew. But apparently, her husband, somehow didn't. I honestly thought he did. I never imagined she lied to him. And suddenly, the entire family expected me to apologize. But for what? She started it. She humiliated our brother. She pierced his biggest insecurity. She laughed about it. And I simply gave her a taste of her own medicine. My sister texted me 14 paragraphs demanding an apology. Her husband is staying at a hotel. He said he needs space to reevaluate. My mom says I ruined Christmas. My aunt says I have no filter. My grandma says I brought shame to the family. And yet? Not one person has apologized to my brother. Not one. Not even her. So do I feel guilty? No. Not even a little. She played a stupid game. She won a stupid prize. The morning wasn't quiet. It pretended to be. The sunlight came in soft through the curtains, the house smelled like leftover roast, and somewhere outside birds were chirping like nothing happened. But inside the house? It felt like walking through the middle of a bomb site. My mom was banging pots around the kitchen like they personally insulted her. My aunts were whispering in the lounge as if they were narrating a crime documentary. My cousins were texting each other behind closed bedroom doors. And my older sister? She was in the guest room, crying so loudly it sounded scripted. I walked into the kitchen and every single adult in the house looked at me like I arrived dragging Lucifer by the hand. My mom didn't even say good morning, she just said, "You need to fix this." Fix this? Fix this? The same woman who watched her daughter humiliate her own son in front of the entire family? Yeah. Suddenly she wants me to become Jesus with a glue gun. I ignored her and went to check on my brother. He was sitting outside on the back steps, hoodie up, staring at nothing. The kind of stare you get after your confidence has been run over by a bus, reversed, and run over again. I sat next to him quietly. He didn't say anything. Didn't even look at me. After a long minute, he just whispered, "Why does she hate me so much?" And that sentence hit harder than anything from last night. I told him the truth. She doesn't hate you. She hates herself. And you were the closest target. He didn't respond, but his shoulders relaxed a little. And honestly? That was the only apology he was going to get from anyone. Meanwhile, in Drama Central, my sister's phone was blowing up non-stop. Her husband wasn't answering her calls. He only texted back one thing. "I need time." Translation: he's Googling divorce lawyers and emotionally packing his bags. My aunt barged into the room where I was sitting and started the speech of the century. How could you betray your sister? How could you embarrass her like that? Do you know how she feels? I stared at her and said, "Do you know how my brother feels?" Or nah, we're skipping that part? She didn't have an answer. Because there wasn't one. They weren't mad that I said something cruel. They were mad that I said something true. My sister finally confronts me. She came downstairs with puffy eyes, mascara stains, and the emotional stability of a wet tissue. "Why would you say that?" she cried. "You ruined everything." I told her straight. "You ruined everything when you opened your mouth last night." She started yelling, but this time the family wasn't backing her up. Everyone was tired. Everyone was hungover. Everyone had run out of fake sympathy. Even my grandma looked done. My sister tried again. You could have defended him without attacking me. Oh, I said, like how you've defended yourself by calling him a virgin in front of the whole family? Silence. Even the fridge stopped humming. The twist, someone else speaks up. And then, finally, my younger sister, the quietest of all of us, said, I'm not taking sides. But he deserved an apology. And you still haven't given him one. The room froze. My older sister's jaw dropped like someone unplugged her brain. And no, I didn't mean. No, my younger sister said. Say the words. My older sister looked at me, then at the floor, then anywhere but her own guilt. And she couldn't do it. She physically could not apologize. My brother finally came inside. Everyone stared at him like he was a ghost who overheard all their trash talk. But he said nothing. He just walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and went upstairs. And that's when it hit everyone in that room. They protected the wrong person. They babied the wrong sibling. They defended the loud one and ignored the one who actually needed help. And for the first time, the house felt different the next morning. Not quieter. Not calmer. Just fragile. Like everyone was walking on glass and praying nothing else shattered. My sister, the older one, had locked herself in the guest room. Her husband still hadn't come home. My mom was trying to hold the family together with coffee and denial. And my brother was, well, he was existing, which was honestly impressive considering last night basically set his confidence on fire. By noon, my mom announced, we're having a family meeting. Which is mom code for. Everyone shut up and sit down before I lose my mind. We all gathered in the living room, cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings. Even grandma, who sat like a judge ready to send someone straight to hell. My sister finally came downstairs looking like she had cried all the water out of her body. She sat across the room, avoiding eye contact with everyone, especially me. Mom started. Last night got out of hand. And we need to talk about it calmly and respectfully. Yeah. Right. Calmly. Respectfully. That lasted exactly 4 seconds. Because my aunt immediately pointed at me. She started it. I raised an eyebrow. Really? That's the narrative we're choosing? My mom sighed so deeply she aged 5 years. We're not blaming right now. We're discussing. Grandma cleared her throat and said, we are a family. We do not humiliate each other. And the silence that hit the room was so thick it could have been sliced. Because everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. My older sister shifted uncomfortably. She wanted to argue. She wanted to deflect. But Grandma was staring at her with the force of God and the ancestors. Finally, my sister muttered. Fine. Mom nodded at her. And that's when she was supposed to apologize. But what happened instead? She broke. Not crying, she'd done enough of that. Not yelling, she didn't have the energy. My sister finally came downstairs looking like she had cried all the water out of her body. She sat across the room, avoiding eye contact with everyone, especially me. Mom started. Last night got out of hand. And we need to talk about it calmly and respectfully. Yeah. Right. Calmly. Respectfully. That lasted exactly 4 seconds. Because my aunt immediately pointed at me. She started it. I raised an eyebrow. Really? That's the narrative we're choosing? My mom sighed so deeply she aged 5 years. We're not blaming right now. We're discussing. Grandma cleared her throat and said, we are a family. We do not humiliate each other. And the silence that hit the room was so thick it could have been sliced. Because everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. My older sister shifted uncomfortably. She wanted to argue. She wanted to deflect. But Grandma was staring at her with the force of God and the ancestors. Finally, my sister muttered. "Fine." Mom nodded at her. And that's when she was supposed to apologize. But what happened instead? She broke. Not crying, she'd done enough of that. Not yelling, she didn't have the energy. She just fell apart. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she whispered. "I was drunk. And angry. And I wasn't thinking." She looked at my brother for the first time since the explosion. He wouldn't look back. And I think that hurt her more than anything. "I shouldn't have said what I said," she continued. "It was cruel. And I'm sorry." The room exhaled like it had been holding its breath. But my brother still didn't speak. He just nodded once, barely, and stared at the floor. And it was clear the apology wasn't enough to undo the damage. But the real shock came next. While everyone was still recovering from the apology, the front door opened. Every head whipped around. It was her husband. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, hadn't done anything except think and overthink. My sister stood up immediately. "Honey." He held up a hand and she froze. "I didn't come to fight," he said. "I came to talk." Everyone else tried to pretend they weren't eavesdropping, but let's be honest, the entire room was listening with Olympic-level focus. Her husband took a deep breath. "I'm not angry about your past. I'm angry that you lied. I asked you because I wanted honesty, not a perfect answer." My sister's chin trembled. "I was afraid you'd judge me," she whispered. "I didn't want you to think less of me." He paused. And the pause said everything. Because he didn't know how he felt. Not yet. Not fully. "I need time," he said softly. "But I'm here now because I want to try. I just don't know how long it'll take." My sister broke down again, collapsing into his arms, and for a moment everyone thought, "Okay, maybe things will work out." But then he said one more thing. "Also, what happened last night made me realize something important. You lash out. You use people's vulnerabilities as weapons. That scares me. And I need to know it won't happen again." Her crying stopped instantly. Because that wasn't an accusation. It was a warning. A line drawn in permanent marker. When the meeting finally ended, everyone scattered like startled cats. My sister went upstairs with her husband. My mom went to stress cook. My extended family retreated to gossip in private rooms. And my brother? He walked past me slowly, pausing at the door before heading outside. He didn't say thank you. He didn't say he was okay. He just said. She still shouldn't have said it. And those 6 words hit harder than any argument, apology, or drama from the last 48 hours. Because he wasn't angry. He wasn't vengeful. He wasn't dramatic. He was hurt. Quietly. Deeply. Honestly. And that was the part nobody in the family knew how to fix. Not even me. The next few days were weird. Not chaotic. Not explosive. Just tense in that quiet, suffocating way where everyone is pretending nothing happened while very clearly remembering everything that happened. Texts were dry. Phone calls were short. Group chats were silent except for the occasional good morning my mom sent like she was trying to keep the family from collapsing. But beneath all that? The fallout had already begun. 1. My sister was in damage control mode. She suddenly became the most apologetic human being alive. She apologized to my mom, my grandma, my cousins, the in-laws, the cat, the literal mailman. "Sorry you had to see me crying the other day." But the one person she couldn't repair things with easily? My brother. He avoided her. Not rudely. Not angrily. He just didn't want to be near her. Didn't want her jokes. Didn't want her hugs. Didn't want her "I'm so sorry, you know I love you" speeches. He was polite. But distant. And that was torture for her. Because my brother has always been her soft spot, the baby she used to protect growing up, the sibling she always spoiled. Seeing him close off hurt her in a way she wasn't ready for. 2. Her husband was neutral. Too neutral. He came back home, yes. They ate together. They slept in the same room. They talked about logistics. But emotionally? He was a locked door. She'd try to talk and he'd listen, but he'd give these calm, thoughtful responses that were way scarier than yelling. "I hear you. I understand. We'll revisit this later. I need time." Neutral. Controlled. Unpredictable. Everyone could feel it. He was Decident 3. The family took sides, obviously. You'd think after everything, people would settle down. Nope. Suddenly you had Team older sister. She didn't mean it. She was drunk. You shouldn't have told her husband. Team me and little brother. Actions have consequences. She crossed a line. He deserved to be defended. The Switzerland people. Let's just move on. It's Christmas. Can we please stop talking about virginity at the dinner table? Family group chats felt like landmines. Every sentence risked setting someone off. 4. And then something unexpected happened. 3 days after the explosion, I got a text from my younger brother at 11:47 p.m. "Can we talk?" This boy never asks to talk. Ever. So I called him instantly. His voice was quiet. Shaky. But honest. "I don't want her to feel like I hate her. I just don't know how to be around her right now." This wasn't about revenge. Or embarrassment. Or grudges. He was hurting whether he could trust her again, and the jury was still out. Deeply. Not by the word virgin. But by the fact she said it. The one person who was supposed to protect him. And then he said the part that punched me in the chest. "I don't want her marriage to fall apart. I don't want that on me." Because even after everything, even after she humiliated him, he was still worried about her. That's who he is. Soft. Sensitive. Good. Too good. And that was the moment I realized. This wasn't just a family argument anymore. Something fundamental in our sibling dynamic had cracked. And no one knew how long it would take to heal. Or whether it ever fully would. This couldn't stay as open wounds and awkward silences forever. The family was fractured. My brother was hurting. My sister was spiraling. Her husband was distant. Everyone was dancing around the damage like it would magically fix itself. So I called a family meeting. Not the whole extended family, God no. Just the 4 siblings and my parents. Neutral territory, my parents' living room. No wine. No guests. No excuses. Just us. When we arrived, the tension in the room was thick enough to cut with the cheap butter knife my mom keeps for emergencies. My brother sat on one side of the couch, arms tucked in, eyes on the floor. My sister sat across from him, fidgeting with her sleeves like she was waiting for a court verdict. I sat beside my brother. My younger sister stayed quiet but alert, the unofficial emotional referee. My parents hovered, not knowing whether to sit, stand, pray, or pretend none of this ever happened. And then my brother spoke first. Voice soft. Hands shaking. Heart wide open. "I don't hate you," he said to our older sister. "I just didn't expect that from you. Not in front of everyone." It hurt. My sister broke instantly. No dramatics. No yelling. No deflection. Just real, raw remorse. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was drunk. I was stupid. I was trying to win an argument that didn't matter." Her voice cracked. "And I'm so sorry I embarrassed you. You didn't deserve it." My brother nodded, not fully forgiving yet, but accepting the apology. A few days later, he came over. Not for drama. Not for yelling. Just to talk. He sat with my sister for hours. They went through everything: expectations, honesty, fears, boundaries. He didn't divorce her. He didn't pack his bags. But he did make one thing painfully clear. I need transparency. No more lies, even the small ones. It wouldn't be easy. They had work ahead of them. Real work. But they were willing. And that was enough. My brother gained more confidence in the weeks after. Not because of the insult, but because he finally felt seen and defended. My sister cut back on drinking. Voluntarily. No pressure. Just a choice she made because she didn't like the version of herself she'd seen that night. The rest of the family? They finally stopped treating my brother like a fragile kid and started treating him like an adult with boundaries. Christmas was still awkward to talk about, and probably always would be, but the emotional rubble had been cleaned up. We weren't perfect. We weren't magically healed. But we were better. Stronger. More honest. More aware of how easily words can crack people open. And if nothing else? My older sister never took a cheap shot at my brother again. Not once.